What if a single act of kindness could change the course of your entire life? One ordinary day, a hardworking store manager found himself face to face with none other than Keanu Reeves in a luxury store. It should have been just another routine day at work, but what happened next turned his life upside down in ways he never saw coming. He lost everything without knowing why. Struggled to survive. Fought against betrayal and injustice. And just when he thought all hope was gone, fate brought him back to the man who unknowingly changed his destiny. But this time, Keanu had a plan. A plan so brilliant, so unexpected, that it would shake the very foundation of those who wronged him. What was this plan? How did it turn a life of struggle into something extraordinary? And what shocking twist left an entire crowd speechless? You don't want to miss this incredible, emotional, and suspenseful story. Like, subscribe, comment, and share if you believe in unexpected miracles and standing up for what's right. It was a sunny afternoon when Keanu Reeves strolled into one of the city's most high-end luxury stores. Despite his worldwide fame and wealth, he never dressed extravagantly. Wearing a simple black jacket, jeans, and worn-out boots, he blended in like any regular customer. The store was grand, massive chandeliers hanging from the ceiling, glass cases showcasing limited edition watches, and high-end fashion brands lined up like an exclusive museum. The moment Keanu stepped inside, whispers filled the air. Some employees recognized him instantly, but others dismissed him as just another shopper. Jhon, the store manager, stood near the entrance and immediately noticed him. Unlike the rest, Jhon wasn't blinded by celebrity status. He respected Keanu not as an actor, but as a man known for his humility and kindness. "Good afternoon, sir." "Welcome," Jhon greeted with a warm smile. "May I assist you with anything special today?" Keanu returned the smile. "Thanks. I'm looking for a gift, something simple yet meaningful." Jhon, unlike some arrogant luxury store staff, didn't judge customers by their clothes. He genuinely wanted to help. "This way, sir. I'll show you something that fits your taste." As Jhon assisted Keanu, they chatted lightly. Keanu appreciated Jhon's professionalism and kindness. Jhon, in turn, admired how humble and down-to-earth Keanu was. But as they spoke, someone was watching them from an office above, the store's owner, Mr. Carlton. His expression darkened with displeasure. Jhon walked back to the counter after assisting Keanu Reeves, feeling a sense of pride. He had just served one of the most well-known actors in the world, but to Jhon, Keanu was more than a celebrity, he was a kind human being. It was refreshing to see someone so humble despite his fame and wealth. Meanwhile, upstairs in a glass-walled office, Mr. Carlton, the store's owner, sat in his luxurious leather chair, watching the interaction below with a frown. His fingers drummed impatiently against the polished oak desk as his assistant, Richard, stood beside him. "Look at that," Mr. Carlton muttered. "Acting like that man is some kind of royalty." Richard hesitated before responding, "Sir, Keanu Reeves is a well-respected actor. People admire him." Mr. Carlton scoffed. "Actors. Overpaid, overrated. They pretend for a living, and people worship them. Disgusting." His eyes flicked back to Jhon, who was still smiling after Keanu left the store. "That fool," Mr. Carlton sneered. "I hired him to sell luxury, not to treat some Hollywood actor like a king. He's forgotten his place." Richard shifted uncomfortably. "Sir, Jhon is one of our best managers. He's polite to all customers. Isn't that a good thing?" Mr. Carlton leaned back, smirking. "Not when it makes me look like an idiot. Do you know what people will think? That we roll out the red carpet for actors, that we cater to celebrities like desperate fans." His voice grew sharp. "I don't want my store associated with that nonsense." Richard said nothing, sensing that his boss had already made up his mind. Moments later, the intercom buzzed. "Send Jhon to my office," Mr. Carlton ordered coldly. Jhon had just finished arranging a display when another employee approached him. "Jhon, the boss wants to see you." Jhon frowned slightly but nodded. It wasn't unusual to be called to the office, but something in the employee's voice made him uneasy. He took a deep breath before knocking on the heavy wooden door. "Come in," came the curt reply. Jhon stepped inside and was immediately met with Mr. Carlton's piercing gaze. The office, with its floor-to-ceiling windows and extravagant decor, suddenly felt suffocating. "Sir, you wanted to see me?" Jhon asked politely. Mr. Carlton didn't waste a second. "You're fired." Jhon's stomach dropped. I'm sorry, sir. Did I do something wrong?" Mr. Carlton's expression remained cold. "Your services are no longer needed. That's all you need to know." Jhon's heart pounded. "But sir, I've worked here for years. I've brought in high-end clients, handled VIPs, and never once had a complaint against me. At least tell me what I did wrong." Mr. Carlton gave a dismissive wave of his hand. "I don't owe you an explanation. Clean out your locker and leave." Jhon clenched his fists but remained composed. He wanted to argue, to demand justice, but he knew it would be useless. The decision had already been made. Still, he tried one last time. "Sir, I've been loyal to this store. If there's a problem with my work, I deserve to know." Mr. Carlton's lips curled into a mocking smile. "Fine. You want a reason? You embarrassed me today. Sucking up to a celebrity like some desperate fanboy." Jhon's eyes widened in disbelief. "Sir, I was just being professional. Keanu Reeves is a customer, and I treated him with the same respect I give to everyone." Mr. Carlton's smile vanished. "That's exactly the problem. You treated him as if he deserved respect. He doesn't. He's just another actor, not a real businessman. I don't want my store associated with that nonsense." Jhon felt anger boiling inside him, but he held his tongue. He had seen unfair bosses before, but this was different. This was pure arrogance. Without another word, he turned around and walked out. As Jhon packed up his things, the news spread quickly. Employees whispered among themselves, shocked that the best manager in the store was being dismissed so abruptly. Sarah, a longtime colleague, rushed over. "Jhon, what happened?" He sighed, shaking his head. "Carlton fired me. No real reason, just because I treated Keanu Reeves with respect." Sarah's jaw dropped. "That's insane. You were just doing your job." Jhon forced a small smile. "I guess doing the right thing doesn't always pay off." She looked around nervously before lowering her voice. "You should fight this. Go to HR, complain." Jhon shook his head. "It won't change anything. Carlton owns the store. He makes the rules." Sarah's eyes filled with sympathy. "I'm so sorry, Jhon. You don't deserve this." Jhon took one last look around the store, the place he had worked so hard for. The place that had just thrown him away like he was nothing. With his box of belongings in hand, he walked out, not knowing what the future held for him. But fate wasn't done with him yet. Jhon had always believed in hard work, loyalty, and fairness. But as he walked out of the luxury store that day, reality hit him like a storm. None of that had mattered. One moment of kindness, one act of professionalism, had cost him everything. The first few days after losing his job felt surreal. He woke up at the usual time, out of habit, only to remember that there was no store to go to, no team to manage, no customers to assist. The emptiness weighed on him. Bills didn't stop just because he was unemployed. Rent was due in a couple of weeks, and his savings, though he had been careful with money, wouldn't last long. He spent hours each day applying for new jobs, hoping his experience as a store manager would help him land something similar. But the job market was cruel. Every luxury store he applied to had the same response: "We're looking for someone with current management experience." Some didn't even bother responding. Others offered him lower positions, sales associate, stock worker, far below what he had built his career for. At first, Jhon refused. He had dignity. He had worked too hard to go back to square one. But as the days turned into weeks, rejection after rejection, he had no choice. His savings were nearly gone. His fridge was almost empty. The stress of unpaid bills gnawed at him. So when a mid-range luxury store finally offered him a job, not as a manager, but as a salesman, he took it. It was humbling, even painful, to start over. His first day at the new job was a bitter pill to swallow. He was no longer giving orders or making big decisions. Instead, he was folding clothes, stocking shelves, and taking orders from a manager younger and far less experienced than him. The other employees were kind, but Jhon could feel their curiosity. He had years of experience in luxury retail. Why was he working as a mere salesman? Some whispered, others asked directly. He avoided answering. Nights were the hardest. Alone in his small apartment, he lay awake, staring at the ceiling, wondering if he had made the wrong choices in life. Maybe I should have just ignored Keanu Reeves that day. But deep down, he knew that wasn't true. He had done what was right. And yet, he was the one suffering for it. Little did he know, fate was about to bring him back to the man who unknowingly changed his life. It had been a few months since Jhon started his new job as a salesman. Though it wasn't where he wanted to be, he gave it his best. He greeted customers with a smile, helped them find what they needed, and worked hard to prove his worth. But no matter how hard he tried, the sting of losing his previous job never truly faded. Every time he walked past high-end luxury stores, a bitter memory of Mr. Carlton's smug face surfaced in his mind. He often wondered, was it fair that people like Carlton thrived while honest workers like him suffered? Jhon was folding a fresh stack of designer shirts one afternoon when he heard a small commotion at the entrance. A group of employees whispered excitedly near the front counter. Some pulled out their phones, while others peeked from behind the shelves. Jhon frowned and approached one of his colleagues, Sarah. What's going on? She turned to him, eyes wide with excitement. Keanu Reeves just walked in. Jhon's heart stopped for a second. Keanu Reeves? Of all the stores, of all the days, why today? Before he could fully process it, the man himself walked through the store, as effortlessly humble as ever. He wore a simple black jacket and jeans, his hands tucked into his pockets, the same quiet and composed expression on his face. Unlike the first time they had met, Jhon wasn't a manager anymore. He was just another salesman in a store where no one knew his story. A whirlwind of emotions rushed through him, anger, embarrassment, sadness. And yet, something stronger pushed him forward. Before he could stop himself, Jhon stepped toward Keanu and cleared his throat. Sir. Keanu turned to look at him, his kind eyes meeting Jhon's. For a moment, he didn't seem to recognize him. But then, something clicked. Jhon? Keanu asked, his brows furrowing. You worked at that other store, right? Jhon let out a bitter chuckle. Yeah, worked. Keanu's relaxed expression changed to concern. What happened? Jhon took a deep breath. He hadn't planned to say anything, but the words spilled out like they had been waiting to be freed. He told Keanu everything, the unfair firing, Mr. Carlton's personal grudge, the endless job rejections, and how he had to settle for a lower position just to survive. By the time he finished, Keanu was silent, his hands in his pockets, his jaw slightly clenched. Jhon swallowed, feeling suddenly self-conscious. I'm sorry, sir. I don't mean to put this all on you. I guess I needed to say it out loud. Keanu studied him for a long moment. Then, a small, knowing smile tugged at the corner of his lips. Jhon, he said, I have an idea. There was something in his voice, something calm yet powerful, almost mischievous. Jhon blinked. An idea? Keanu's smile widened slightly. Yeah. How do you feel about a little justice? Jhon wasn't sure what Keanu meant, but the spark of hope in his chest told him, this was the moment his life was about to change. A few days later, Keanu made a public announcement. He was hosting a grand charity gala at Mr. Carlton's luxury store. The media went wild. Celebrities, billionaires, and influencers were all invited. Mr. Carlton, blinded by greed, happily agreed. He saw this as an opportunity to make millions. Little did he know what was really happening. But the spark of hope in his chest told him, this was the moment his life was about to change. The night of the grand event had arrived. The luxury store where Jhon was once fired gleamed under the glow of crystal chandeliers, its glass doors welcoming only the wealthiest clientele. Mr. Carlton stood at the entrance, dressed in a custom-tailored suit, shaking hands with high-profile guests. This was the biggest night of the year, an exclusive event for the store's elite customers, a showcase of the newest and rarest designer collections. Little did Mr. Carlton know, tonight would be a night he would never forget. Inside, the store was buzzing with excitement. The wealthiest buyers had gathered, sipping champagne, admiring the limited edition luxury items that had been flown in from around the world. Employees rushed around, ensuring every detail was perfect. And then, the whispers started. People turned toward the entrance, murmuring in excitement. Some gasped. Others pulled out their phones. Keanu Reeves had just walked in. Unlike most guests dressed in extravagant designer wear, Keanu kept it simple, a black suit, no tie, an effortless grace in the way he walked. He carried himself with the same humble energy, but there was something different in his expression tonight, purpose. Right beside him was Jhon, dressed in an elegant suit that Keanu had personally gifted him. Jhon still couldn't believe he was here. The plan that Keanu had come up with days ago had sounded insane at first, but now, standing in the very store that had thrown him away, he felt a surge of confidence he hadn't felt in months. Mr. Carlton's face stiffened the moment he spotted them. His polite smile faltered, his fingers tightening around his champagne glass. What was Jhon doing here? And why was he walking in with Keanu Reeves? Before Carlton could process what was happening, Keanu walked straight toward him. "Ah, Mr. Reeves," Carlton greeted, forcing a smile. "Welcome to our exclusive event. It's an honor to have you here." Keanu returned the smile, but there was something unreadable in his gaze. "Thanks, Mr. Carlton. I heard this was the place for luxury shopping. Thought I'd stop by." Carlton's chest swelled with pride. "Absolutely. We cater to the finest clientele." He then glanced at Jhon, his smile turning colder. "I see you brought company." Jhon met his gaze evenly. "Good to see you too, sir." Carlton's jaw tightened. "Didn't expect to see you at an event like this, Jhon. A salesman from another store, attending an exclusive gala? Interesting." Keanu chuckled lightly, placing a hand on Jhon's shoulder. "Oh, Jhon isn't here as a guest. He's here as my personal shopping consultant." Carlton blinked. "You're what?" Keanu smiled. "I need someone I can trust to help me pick the finest pieces. And honestly, Jhon's the best in the business. Wouldn't shop without him." Carlton's expression darkened for just a second before he forced out a chuckle. "Well, then. You're in good hands. Enjoy your shopping." But as Keanu and Jhon walked deeper into the store, Carlton's mind raced. Something felt off. Keanu and Jhon moved through the store, intentionally drawing attention. Guests whispered among themselves, eager to see what Keanu would buy. Employees hovered nervously, desperate to impress him. Then, Keanu did something unexpected. He stopped in the center of the store, looked around at the lavish displays, and spoke just loud enough for everyone to hear. "You know," he said, "I was planning to spend quite a bit here tonight." Mr. Carlton, who had been watching closely, perked up, his greedy instincts kicking in. Here it comes, the moment where Keanu Reeves drops an obscene amount of money in his store. But then Keanu continued. "But before I make a purchase," he turned to Jhon, his voice loud and clear. "I want you to tell everyone why you don't work here anymore. The store fell silent. Jhon's heart pounded. He hadn't expected this, but the opportunity was too perfect. He took a deep breath and spoke. I worked here for years. I was one of the top managers. I treated every customer with respect, no matter who they were. But one day, Keanu Reeves walked in, and I treated him with the same respect I give everyone. And because of that, Jhon turned, locking eyes with Carlton. Mr. Carlton fired me. Gasps rippled through the crowd. Guests exchanged shocked glances. Employees froze in place. Even the wealthiest customers, who normally cared only about luxury, seemed unsettled. Carlton's face turned red. That's not true. It is, Keanu interrupted, his voice calm but firm. I checked. Spoke to people. Heard the whole story. You fired an honest, hard-working man for treating me with kindness. That's not luxury. That's arrogance. Carlton's mouth opened and closed, struggling for words. The attention of the entire room was now on him, and not in a good way. His reputation, his precious reputation, was crumbling before his eyes. Then, Keanu delivered the final blow. Well, he said, brushing invisible dust off his sleeve, I was going to spend a fortune here tonight. But I don't support businesses that mistreat their employees. He turned to the guests, most of whom were still watching in shock. If you believe in fairness, I suggest you take your business elsewhere too. Carlton paled. Wait, Mr. Reeves. But it was too late. Keanu turned on his heel and walked out of the store, with Jhon right beside him. One by one, high-profile guests began whispering, exchanging disapproving looks, and, one by one, they, too, started leaving. Within minutes, half the store was empty. Carlton stood frozen, his grand event turning into a disaster before his eyes. And Jhon? He walked out that night with his head held high, knowing that justice had been served. As they stepped out into the cool night air, Jhon let out a breath he hadn't realized he was holding. I can't believe that just happened. Keanu chuckled. Believe it. Jhon turned to him, his expression filled with gratitude. I don't even know how to thank you for this. Keanu smiled. Well, I do have one more surprise. Jhon raised an eyebrow. Another surprise? Keanu pulled out a sleek, black envelope from his jacket and handed it to Jhon. Open it. Jhon hesitated before tearing it open. His eyes widened as he read the contents inside. It was a job offer. But not just any job. A store manager position, at one of the biggest luxury chains in the country. Jhon's mouth fell open. This is real? Keanu grinned. Yeah. I made a call to some people I trust. They need someone honest, someone experienced. You're perfect for the role. Jhon felt tears sting his eyes. For months, he had struggled. For months, he had questioned if doing the right thing had been worth it. And now, standing under the city lights, holding a future he never thought possible, he finally had his answer. With a voice thick with emotion, he looked up at Keanu. Thank you. Keanu clapped a hand on his shoulder. Don't thank me. You earned this. And for the first time in a long, long time, Jhon smiled, knowing his life was about to change for the better. Later that night, Jhon stood on the store's balcony, overlooking the city lights. The journey had been painful, but justice had been served. Keanu joined him, sipping his drink. You good? Jhon nodded, holding back tears. Better than ever. Thank you, sir. Keanu smiled. You earned this, Jhon. Always remember, kindness is never a weakness. It always finds its way back. Jhon chuckled. Guess life does have a funny way of balancing things. They clinked their glasses, and the night carried on, a new beginning for Jhon, and a lesson Mr. Carlton would never forget. And just like that, the man who was once cast aside found himself rising higher than he ever imagined. Jhon had been betrayed, humiliated, and forced to start over. But through it all, he never lost his integrity. And in the end, justice found its way back to him. Thanks to Keanu Reeves, not only did Jhon get the chance to rebuild his career, but he also got something far more valuable, proof that kindness and honesty always win in the end. As for Mr. Carlton, his reputation crumbled that night. Customers left, business dropped, and the store that once stood on arrogance and cruelty began to fall apart. This story isn't just about revenge, it's about standing up for what's right, about how life has a way of rewarding those who stay true to themselves. If this story inspired you, don't forget to like, subscribe, comment, and share. Who knows? Maybe one day, fate will bring an unexpected twist into your life too. Stay tuned for more powerful stories. Until next time.